The 1960s gave us the Beatles, Bob Dylan, and countless musical masterpieces that changed the world forever. But for every "Like a Rolling Stone," there was also a song about a purple monster or a tiny bikini that somehow captured America's attention just as completely. These were the novelty hits, the guilty pleasures, and the songs so wonderfully ridiculous that they became impossible to ignore. While serious artists were busy creating art, these performers stumbled onto something equally powerful: pure, unapologetic fun. Here are the top 10 cheesiest one-hit wonders of the 1960s. Number 10. Batman Theme by Neil Hefti. When the campy Batman television series premiered on ABC in January 1966, it brought with it one of the most distinctive theme songs in TV history. Composer Neil Hefti created an instrumental that was both dramatic and humorous, perfectly capturing the show's tongue-in-cheek approach to the superhero genre. Hefti was already an established jazz composer and arranger when he was approached to create music for the Batman series. He had worked with big bands like Woody Herman's and Count Basie's, and had composed film scores including The Odd Couple. The Batman theme represented something entirely different from his previous work, but he approached it with the same professional craftsmanship. The theme's most memorable feature was its use of vocal exclamations, the famous "na na 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 Batman." That replaced traditional lyrics. Hefti created a piece that sounded like a superhero comic book brought to life, with dramatic brass stabs, driving percussion, and sound effects that mimicked the POW and BAM graphics that appeared during the show's fight scenes. What nobody expected was that the theme would become a hit single. Released by RCA Records in March 1966, the Batman theme climbed to number 35 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song's success reflected the massive popularity of the television series, which had become a cultural phenomenon almost overnight. The single's popularity extended far beyond the show's audience. The theme appeared on numerous novelty albums and was covered by bands ranging from surf rock groups to garage bands. Its distinctive sound made it instantly recognizable, and its association with the Batman character gave it a staying power that most TV themes lacked. Hefti's composition demonstrated how effective television could be in creating musical hits. The Batman theme wasn't designed to be a pop song, but its memorable melody and unique sound made it irresistible to radio programmers and record buyers. The track helped establish the template for countless TV and movie themes that would follow. Number 9. Telstar by the Tornadoes. In 1962, a year before Beatlemania reached America, a British instrumental group called the Tornadoes achieved something unprecedented. They became the first British act to reach number 1 on the US Billboard Hot 100. Their song Telstar was as futuristic as its name suggested, featuring electronic effects and space-age sounds that seemed to come from another planet. The song was the creation of producer Joe Meek, one of the most innovative and eccentric figures in early British pop music. Working from his home studio above a leather goods shop in London's Holloway Road, Meek had developed a reputation for experimental recording techniques and otherworldly sound effects. Telstar represented the culmination of his space-age obsessions. The track was named after the Telstar communications satellite, which had been launched earlier in 1962 and represented the cutting edge of space-age technology. Meek wanted to create a musical tribute to this achievement, and he crafted a composition that sounded like a transmission from outer space. The distinctive sound of Telstar came from Meek's use of the clavioline. an early electronic keyboard instrument that produced otherworldly tones. The lead melody, played by keyboardist Roger Jackson, was processed through various effects to create an ethereal, floating quality. The backing track featured drums, bass, and guitars, but everything was treated to sound slightly unnatural and futuristic. The Tornadoes were essentially Meek's house band, a group of session musicians who played on many of his productions. The core lineup included Clem Cattini on drums, Heinz Burt on bass, Alan Caddy and George Bellamy on guitars, and Jackson on keyboards. They were skilled musicians, but their individual personalities were secondary to Meek's vision. Telstar became an instant hit in Britain, reaching number 1 on the UK charts in August 1962. When it was released in America later that year, it achieved the same success, climbing to the top of the Billboard Hot 100 in December. The song's success proved that British acts could compete with American performers, helping to pave the way for the British invasion that would follow. Number 8. Who Put the Bump by Barry Mann. In 1961, when rock and roll was still finding its voice, songwriter Barry Mann created a meta-commentary on the genre that was both celebration and gentle parody. Who Put the Bump reached number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a perfect example of early 60s novelty pop. Mann, who would later become one of the most successful songwriters in popular music history, was still a young performer when he recorded this track. Working out of New York's Brill Building, he was surrounded by the hit-making machinery that was churning out songs for the emerging teen market. Who Put the Bump was both a product of that system and a commentary on it. The song's premise was wonderfully absurd. Mann sang about meeting a girl who knew all the nonsense syllables that made rock and roll songs so catchy. The track referenced the Rama Lama Ding Dong from Little Richard and the Dip Da Dip Da Dip from various doo-wop groups, creating a catalog of rock and roll's most memorable vocal hooks. What made the song work was Mann's earnest delivery. He sang about these meaningless syllables as if they were the most important musical innovations in history, treating rock and roll's inherent silliness with genuine respect and affection. The arrangement was simple but effective, featuring piano, guitar, bass, drums, and backing vocals that provided their own collection of nonsense sounds.
Who was that man? I'd like to shake his hand.
Who Put the Bump succeeded because it arrived at exactly the right moment. Rock and roll had been around long enough for people to recognize its conventions, but it was still new enough that those conventions seemed fresh and exciting. Mann's song acknowledged that rock music could be simultaneously meaningful and ridiculous.
Boogity, 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 shoot, sets my baby's heart.
The track helped establish Mann as a significant figure in the music business, though his greatest successes would come as a songwriter for other artists. He and his writing partner, Cynthia Weil, would go on to pen classics like You've Lost That Lovin' Feelin' and On Broadway. But Who Put the Bump remained his most personal statement, a love letter to the music that had captured his imagination.
Who put the ram in the ram-a-lam-a ding-dong? Who put the bop in the bop?
Number 7. Yummy 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 by Ohio Express.
Yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy and it's silly as a...
Pure bubblegum doesn't get much purer than Ohio Express's Yummy Yummy Yummy. Released in 1968, this confectionery confection reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the most memorably ridiculous songs of the decade. With lyrics that made Sugar Sugar sound sophisticated, it represented everything that serious rock critics loved to hate about the late 60s.
Love you sweeter, sweeter than sugar. Oh, love.
The song was written by Arthur Resnick and Joey Levine, two experienced songwriters who understood exactly what made kids want to buy records. Resnick had previously co-written hits like Under the Boardwalk, But Yummy 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 was pure commercial calculation, designed to appeal to the youngest possible audience.
Yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy that your love can't say.
What made the song particularly absurd was that Ohio Express wasn't really a band at all, but rather a brand name used by producers Jerry Casanets and Jeffrey Katz under their Super K Productions company. The official Ohio Express members who appeared on album covers and at live performances didn't contribute a single note to their hit singles. Instead, the vocals were performed by Joey Levine, who had co-written the song, backed by anonymous New York session musicians.
Love is such a sweet thing, good enough to weeping and a sweet thing.
The recording process revealed the manufactured nature of the entire project. Levine had originally recorded Yummy 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 as a demo for the touring version of Ohio Express to record over. However, when Buddha Records head Neil Bogart heard the demo, he liked it enough to release it exactly as it was, with Levine's guide vocals intact and no input from the actual band members.
Ooh, love to hold ya, ooh, love to kiss ya, ooh, love, I love.
Musically, the track was simplicity itself. The arrangement featured basic rock instrumentation, guitar, bass, drums, and keyboards, played in the most straightforward manner possible. The production emphasized the vocal hook above everything else, creating a sound that was undeniably catchy while remaining completely unsophisticated.
Yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy that your love can't.
The lyrics were where Yummy 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 truly achieved its status as one of the cheesiest songs of the decade. Lines about having love in my tummy sounded like they were written for elementary school children, though some listeners interpreted them as having sexual undertones. This ambiguity was probably intentional, allowing the song to appeal to both innocent kids and knowing teenagers.
Yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy that your love can't say.
The single became an instant success, climbing to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and reaching number 5 in the United Kingdom. Its success helped establish bubblegum as a legitimate commercial force and demonstrated that the most artificial music could sometimes be the most irresistibly catchy.
Sweet thing, yummy, yummy.
Number 6. Wipe Out by the Surfaris. The year 1963 brought us many memorable songs, but few were as instantly recognizable as the pounding drum solo that opened Wipe Out. The Surfaris, a group of teenagers from Glendora, California, created what would become the ultimate surf rock anthem, even though most of them had never actually surfed. The song began as an afterthought during a recording session at PAL Recording Studio in Cucamonga, California. The band had just finished recording their planned A-side, Surfer Joe, when they realized they needed a B-side to complete the single. Drummer Ron Wilson suggested they try an instrumental he'd been working on, built around a distinctive drum pattern he'd developed. What made Wipe Out so memorable wasn't complex musicianship, but rather its sheer energy and that unforgettable drum break. The song opened with Wilson's thunderous tom-tom pattern, followed by a simple but effective guitar riff that perfectly captured the feeling of riding a wave. The track featured minimal production and was recorded in just a few takes, giving it a raw, immediate quality that polished studio recordings often lacked. The single was initially released on the small DFS label, where it gained local popularity in Southern California. When it started receiving airplay on influential stations like KRLA in Los Angeles, major labels took notice. Dot Records picked up the distribution rights, and Wipe Out began its climb up the national charts. By the summer of 1963, Wipe Out had reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, where it spent several weeks. The song became so associated with surf culture that it remained a staple of beach movies, television shows, and commercials for decades to come. Its success helped establish surf rock as a legitimate musical genre and influenced countless instrumental rock bands that followed. The Surfaris never achieved another hit of comparable magnitude, making them a classic example of the one-hit wonder phenomenon. The other members of the band were Jim Fuller on lead guitar, Bob Berryhill on rhythm guitar, and Pat Connolly on bass. But it was Wilson's drumming that everyone remembered. Number 5. Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini by Brian Hyland. Released in 1960, this novelty hit captured both the innocence of early 60s pop and the emerging beach culture that would define much of the decade's youth entertainment. Hyland was just 16 years old when he recorded the song, a high school student from Woodhaven, Queens, who had been working as an office boy at Cap Records. The label executives heard him singing around the office and decided to let him record some demonstration tracks. What started as a favor to a young employee became one of the year's biggest hits.
2, 3, 4, stick around, we'll tell you more.
The song was written by Paul Vance and Lee Pockris, two experienced songwriters who specialized in novelty material. They crafted a story that was both humorous and relatable. A young woman who had bought a daringly small bikini, but was too embarrassed to be seen wearing it in public. The narrative followed her through various stages of hiding, in the locker room, under a towel, and finally refusing to come out of the water.
Now she's afraid to come out of the water.
What made the song irresistible was its infectious melody and Hyland's boyish vocal delivery. His voice perfectly captured the innocence and slight awkwardness of teenage romance, making the song feel genuine despite its silly premise. The arrangement was simple but effective, featuring acoustic guitar, light percussion, and backing vocals that emphasized the catchy title phrase.
It was an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot.
Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini shot to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in August 1960, where it spent 1 week at the top. The single sold over 2 million copies, making it one of the biggest hits of the year. Its success established Hyland as a teen idol and helped popularize the bikini as acceptable swimwear for young women.
And the poor little girl's turning blue.
The song arrived at a perfect cultural moment. The bikini, introduced in 1946, was still considered somewhat scandalous by conservative standards. Hyland's gentle, harmless treatment of the topic made it safe for mainstream radio, while still maintaining a hint of the forbidden. The track helped normalize discussions about changing fashion and social norms.
An itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini. So
Number 4. They're Coming to Take Me Away by Napoleon XIV.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho.
Mental health wasn't typically considered appropriate subject matter for pop music in 1966. But Jerry Samuels, performing under the pseudonym Napoleon XIV, created one of the decade's most memorable novelty hits by treating psychological breakdown as darkly comic entertainment. They're Coming to Take Me Away, ha-ha, reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the most controversial songs of its era.
The funny farm where life is beautiful all the time, and I'll be happy to see.
Samuels was a recording engineer at Associated Recording Studios in New York when he conceived the idea for the song. Working with some of the industry's most sophisticated recording equipment, he developed a unique vocal effect that made his voice gradually rise in pitch while maintaining the same tempo. This created an unsettling quality that perfectly matched the song's theme of mental deterioration.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho.
The track tells the story of a man whose mental state deteriorates after his companion leaves him. As the song progresses, the narrator becomes increasingly unhinged, ultimately welcoming his commitment to a psychiatric institution. The vocal effect made the progression even more disturbing, as Samuel's voice became higher and more frantic with each verse.
You know you laughed. I heard you laugh. You laughed and laughed, and then you...
Musically, They're Coming to Take Me Away was incredibly simple. The entire track consisted of percussion, hand claps, and Samuel's vocals. There were no guitars, no bass, no keyboards, just rhythm and voice. This stripped-down approach focused all attention on the vocal performance and the song's unsettling subject matter.
Take me away.
Number 3. Sugar, Sugar by the Archies. In 1969, a fictional cartoon band achieved what many real groups couldn't. They created the year's biggest hit. Sugar, Sugar by the Archies spent 4 weeks at number 1 and became Billboard's top single of 1969, proving that artificial music could be irresistibly entertaining. The Archies were created by Don Kirshner after he lost his position with the Monkees. His solution was brilliant: cartoon characters who would never demand creative control. The song was written by Jeff Barry and Andy Kim, with vocals by session singer Ron Dante and backing vocals by Tony Wine. The track was pure bubblegum pop, simple lyrics about romantic sweetness, an incredibly catchy melody, and production that emphasized every hook. When radio programmers initially heard it without knowing the performers were cartoons, most loved it. Only after they committed to playing it were they told about its cartoon origins. The success was phenomenal. Sugar, Sugar topped charts worldwide, including an 8-week run at number 1 in the UK. It sold over 6 million copies globally and became one of the most successful bubblegum singles ever recorded. Number 2. Monster Mash by Bobby Boris Pickett.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eye...
Bobby Boris Pickett's Monster Mash reached number 1 just before Halloween 1962 and became the definitive Halloween anthem. Pickett was an aspiring actor who had developed an impressive Boris Karloff impression, which he would perform during his band's version of Little Darlin' at Los Angeles nightclubs.
He did the monster mash.
Working with songwriter Leonard Capizzi, Pickett created Monster Mash in about an hour. The song parodied early 60s dance crazes like the twist, but featured classic movie monsters doing the mashed potato at a graveyard party. Producer Gary Paxton created spooky sound effects using household items, dragging chains, pulling rusty nails, and blowing bubbles through straws.
It's now the monster mash. Now everything's cool. Drax a part of...
Pickett's vocal performance included impressions of Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi as Dracula, and Peter Lorre. This balance of scary and funny appealed to all ages. Initially, every major label rejected the song as too bizarre, but when an acetate reached MGM's New York office, young employees played it during lunch breaks.
They did the monster mash.
This grassroots enthusiasm convinced the label to release it. Monster Mash hit number 1 on October 20th, perfectly timed for Halloween week, and stayed there for 2 weeks. The song sold over 1 million copies and has remained a Halloween staple for over 60 years.
Then you can monster mash.
Number 1. Simon Says by the 1910 Fruit Gum Company.
Put your hands in the air. Shake them all up.
Simon Says by the 1910 Fruit Gum Company perfectly captured the manufactured innocence of late 60s bubblegum pop. Released in 1968, this children's game set to music reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became the template for interactive pop music. Like most Super K Productions acts, the 1910 Fruit Gum Company was essentially a marketing concept. The actual recording featured session musicians with lead vocals by Joey Levine. Written by Elliot Chipret, the song's genius lay in its complete embrace of childishness. While other 1968 music grappled with war and social unrest, Simon Says offered pure playground escapism.
Put your hands on your head. Bring them down by your...
The track featured simple chord progressions, prominent drums, hand claps, and backing vocals that supported the central hook. While official band members appeared on TV and toured, their contribution was purely promotional. Simon Says climbed to number 4 and became an international hit, proving American bubblegum could succeed worldwide. More importantly, it established the template for interactive pop music that would influence everything from disco to hip-hop, demonstrating that completely artificial music could still connect with audiences on a fundamental level.
Put your hands on your head. Swing them down by your side.
The 1960s produced tremendous musical innovation, but some of the era's most memorable songs were also its cheesiest. These one-hit wonders succeeded through pure entertainment value and infectious melodies, reminding us that popular music doesn't always need to be serious to be meaningful. Each track represents a moment when American culture embraced the ridiculous and found joy in the absurd. From cartoon monsters to tiny bikinis, these songs transformed everyday situations into musical entertainment that resonated with millions. The artists were often surprised by their success, and most never achieved comparable fame again. But they created songs that have endured for decades. These cheesy, one-hit wonders connected with something fundamental in human nature: our desire to laugh, dance, and find joy in the unexpected. In their wonderfully ridiculous way, they represent the very best of what popular music can accomplish. If you enjoyed this journey back to the wonderfully weird world of 60s novelty hits, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more musical nostalgia and forgotten gems. What's your favorite cheesy song from the 1960s? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear about the guilty pleasures that still make you smile after all these years.